From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Power Vacuum. With Nick Saban gone from Alabama, can Mike Norvell and Florida State move one rung higher in the hierarchy of college football? Wild cards. Looking at these recent transfer portal prospects, do we really know what Florida State's got coming their way? Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com, the website, all one word. Always hit the QR code on your screen. That'll take you right to the website. You can check out the lunch specials. You can also place your orders online to go. But we recommend hanging out there because it's a Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. You might see Corey Clark out there, but probably not during the lunch special time, which is why the lunch specials are there, to lure you there in the early hours of the day. Only $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for 5 chicken wings and French fries on a Wednesday, y'all. I mean, the best chicken wings on the market in the city. So hop all over it. Take advantage. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And don't forget, tomorrow is bingo night at the CP. Play, win, revel. Do it all. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Won't you leave a 5-star rating and review either now or perhaps upon the conclusion of the show once we have earned such lauds from, is that a word? Lauds?
I don't think so. It should be.
All right, well, we'll do it. And thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube, staring at dem cartoons. Corey Clark in the house. Corey, we never talked about the fact, did Caleb Downs and Brady ever hang out? I didn't realize Caleb Downs was a Milk Creek product. Are they boys?
It's weird that the superstar high school senior football player didn't hang out with the freshman baseball player. But no, weirdly, somehow their paths didn't cross. But he's got some other kids in his class that are sophomores now that by the time they're seniors might be big deals too, and I hope he's boys with all of them.
All right. How are you, Corey, by the way?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I trust you're doing well.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick on Corner Pocket.
Yes.
I didn't know they had this thing. Bill ordered them for us the other night.
Bill, the proprietor.
Bill, the owner, yeah. He ordered funnel cake fries. And you know me, I'm not a big sweets guy, and the body is a temple. I'm trying to get this thing, Iron Man ready. So I don't like to partake in desserts really ever. But man, it was hard not to eat those things. They're funnel cakes, like cut into like fries, and then they got the dipping sauces. They got caramel, raspberry, the sugary thing. It was really good, folks. If you're a funnel cake fan, and I trust that you all are, order those the next time you're in Corner Pocket. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I think the State Fair's not too far away.
Yeah, that's what Stephanie said. It sounded like it was State Fair quality.
Okay,
all
right. I like it. So, hey, where's the finish line on this fitness journey of yours? Is it just TBD? Just going to keep going? Or is there like a finish line where you're like, all right, if I can lift this, or if I see all 6 of my abs on Groundhog Day?
That's a big one. And I see them, but again, I have to like really kind of flex my stomach to see them. I want it to be like where I'm just shirtless having I think some people are. Like they could be shirtless just having a conversation and you see all the abs. That's not happening with me. I was thinking about it today, Aslan. Today, before we recorded the show. At Orange Theory, I did a 50-minute tread workout, which is basically 35 minutes of just straight running. And I ran essentially 5 miles.
How's your heel? Is your heel better than I assumed?
The heel is better. Yeah, okay. The heel is better, so I can run again. So I did like 5 miles at around 35, 38 minutes, something like that.
Jeez, oh boy.
Which is a good pace,
That's
right?
Really good, man.
And then I'm like, do I want to take this to the next step and be one of those psychopaths that you see on the road training for marathons and half marathons like the great Tom Lang's wife, Jamie? And I don't think I do. Okay. That's not my next step because I don't want to live that life. Because I think if I try to do that, I'm going to train and I'm going to try to run a half marathon and then a marathon. And that's no way to live. Yeah. It's just no way to live. Nothing about that seems appealing. I like being in good shape, but I think it's just this. Maybe it's just this in perpetuity. Just maintain. Well, maintain is what I want to do.
Everything in moderation, man. So as long as it's sustainable, that's all that really matters.
Not too much pain. Yeah. I'm old, so I am in some pain, but not too much. All
right, well, we're down to about 3 weeks now, I guess we'll call it. Instead of 2 days, we're down to about 3 weeks. We'll we'll start to try to effort to get some interviews in the pipeline that way.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the wedding. Maybe the wedding is because the wedding is March 2nd.
Okay.
And maybe that's when I just say, "See ya, gang. I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah, that's like what? It's like it's a ruse. You just like pulled the switcheroo on Steph. Then she thought she was signing up for something.
That's right. Yeah.
And then, come on, don't do that, buddy.
I feel like Steph has traded up in the last 2.5 years from what she had to look at back during COVID times. Holy moly. Those videos, folks, go look at what I look like doing those videos.
A lot of bee stings are happening.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because that's the way I met you. So like that's like the default setting, but like this looks natural to me. Like when I see you, I'm like, I didn't think you looked unhealthy then, but juxtaposed, I'm like, all right, man, he's definitely gone in the right direction here. So
yeah. Thank you, Aslan. That means a lot.
Yeah, hope everybody's sticking to their resolutions and such. But yeah, we'll try to get some interviews lined up for the shows so that we don't bother you with.
What about? I was thinking about that. What about Brian Pinsky?
All right, yeah,
we haven't talked to him since they won the championship, and I mean, we would have normally, but literally, his team won a championship one day after the biggest snub a college football team has ever experienced, and it would have felt a little disingenuous to act. I mean, I was excited, and it was a great team, but obviously, the thing that was dominating our thoughts wasn't women's soccer at that time. But now that we're 5-6 weeks removed, I think it'd be a good time to have him on and talk about that season because that was an all-time season. And they've hit the portal well, too.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of the transfer portal and how good it's been to Florida State.
What about Jordan Travis, our guy Mark in the mailbag that didn't make it to air last week because we were speculating for an hour about the future of the head football coach, was wondering what he's up to. So, I mean, he was saying that maybe like could Jordan come back and be a GA while he gets himself healthy and then make a run for the league, I guess next year. But just like I don't know if you can balance both. I mean, as a GA, like you're grinding, man. You're doing everything a coach does and at like a quarter of the pay. So I don't know if you can balance both of those things. But I certainly am curious to see what he's up to. I know he's going to that Shrine Bowl, but he'll probably use that as an opportunity to hone on his interview skills with these personnel folks.
Yeah, and I don't know if he would go to – I mean, I'm sure he would go to the Combine. I don't know that he would be in any position to go through any drills other than, like, the bench press. No. I guess he could throw a little. I don't know. I don't know how you do it with something with an injury like that. But I don't think it's something – from what I've heard, I don't think it's something that he's out for 2 years.
Oh, no.
No. I think he will be healthy enough for summer OTAs. If he's on an NFL football team, which I fully expect him to be on in some capacity. Don't know when he'd be drafted, don't know by who, but I absolutely think he'd be invited to a camp, even if he's not drafted. And I think he should be drafted. I mean, good grief, look at some of the quarterbacks in this league. So yeah. With that said, he'd be a good person to talk to, just about an update on where he is health wise and what his timetable is for like a full recovery.
Yeah. I was trying to find, who's that? Easton Stick.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
The guy with the Raiders.
Chargers. Oh, yeah.
No, but then
Aiden O'Connell.
Aiden O'Connell, yeah. Joe Flacco, his old ass, just throwing playoff games. Wasn't happy with that, Joe Flacco.
Too soon. All right, well, I had a thought about this, Corey. I guess as the dust settles on what happened in Alabama and then having moved on from Nick Saban's retirement and hiring Kalen DeBoer, who continues to put together his staff, part of me, I think we were just so caught up and frazzled more or less by thinking about what possibly could happen if Mike were to leave. He has not, obviously. There's a vacuum now that has to be filled out there. And I kind of, I don't want to say surrendered, but I kind of probably conceded that Kirby was mainly going to fill that power vacuum in that conference in this part of the country and in this sport. He pulled Travaris Robinson away from Bama. He's their co-defensive coordinator. They moved Muschamp to off-the-field role. He still has Glenn Schumann. It's an embarrassment of riches of what he's got going on over there. But seeing what Florida State's been able to do, they got the linebacker commit that flipped, or not flipped, but the commit that came in the portal at a position of need. There was a defensive end from Cocoa Beach that flipped, the high school prospect. How much, now can we kind of look forward and ahead now to the fact that program was the it program because of that coach? Not so much the colors or that logo or the elephant or the Rotad, but it was that guy. And with him not being there, Florida State and Mike Norvell have a legitimate shot at pulling away some of the real elite pieces in this part of the country that would consider heavily going to Alabama. how much wide open is everything now with him being gone, Nick Saban?
It wasn't that kid. Isn't he? Is he from Alabama? I know he was committed to Alabama, the defensive end.
I thought from Cocoa Beach, the high school kid or the Sean Murphy?
Oh, yeah. He is. I'm sorry. I just looked him up. He is from Cocoa Beach, but he was committed to Alabama, right?
Right.
Now
right,
he's.
Right.
Yeah, man. I think we won't really be able to appreciate what Alabama. I think years removed, 5-6 years removed from it, we'll see what a just unprecedented juggernaut that was. Where like you weren't, other than Jameis, you weren't really going into that state and getting big time players. Now Jameis was a big one, but that wasn't something that anybody did, and they always were top 2 or 3 in the country in recruiting. And they always, every signing class had what, Aslan, would you guess, 8 to 10 NFL players? Multiple first-round picks, every single signing class. It was just unprecedented what they were doing. So much so that the guys leave there and they become like backups leave Alabama, and they're really, really wanted players and commodities. Florida State's got 5 of them. And none of those 5 were starters, right? I don't think.
No.
But they're all at Florida State now, which if you guys have checked, is a pretty good program. That's how good Alabama has been. Their backups have been incredible. They've usually been young and unproven, but you knew they were going to be incredible. And they just it was like a production factory of NFL football players. Like the 2 corners. Aren't they both going to be first-round picks?
Oh, McKinstry and our guy,
Terry Arnold, the kid from I think
they're like top 5 at their positions, So
you know what I mean? Caleb Downs might be the best of all of them. He's a freshman. By the way, we got to talk about that in a second. Just him and what that could maybe mean for Florida State. But it really is. Yes, it does. It frees it up. It frees it up to make it where they won't just. Like Georgia,
and we're talking about defense too, but there's so many receivers that this great state of Florida has lost.
Man, and how many wasn't Ridley from Florida?
Yep.
Amari Cooper was from Florida.
Yep.
On
Judy,
and on and on.
Judy from Florida.
The French kid, I don't know where he's from. He actually just decommitted.
Yep.
But he's a Florida State kid, I think, right? Or he's a Florida kid. I
think he's from somewhere in the Jacksonville
area.
Yeah,
and he's committed to Alabama. And it didn't even. Nobody even batted an eye over the last 10 years when Alabama just came into whatever state you were in and just took the best players.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a reality anymore.
Nope.
Now, it's still Alabama. I get it. But Alabama wasn't Alabama until Nick Saban took over because all these guys trusted him to get him to the league. They knew they couldn't go anywhere else in the country and be coached better than they were going to be coached at Alabama. Well, now they don't know that. Now that's completely up in the air. And it really does level the playing field. Where I think Georgia's probably taking over that mantle. They're going to be the Alabama, but it's just one of them. Like for the last 5 or 6 years, it's been Kirby and Nick.
Yeah.
Well, now it's just Kirby, and so that frees up more. Like right now, I think they do have a decent chance at the French kid, right? The kid that just decommitted.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
2 F's in French, by the way.
Correct.
Crazy, but it's there.
Which one's silent, the first or the second one?
I don't give an F. Hey, folks, if he comes to Florida State, you're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get a lot of that. But yeah, so that was 2 good jokes, by the way, back to back. That's why we get the big bucks. But yeah, so I think that 2 years ago, this kid, I'm like, yeah, he's committed to Alabama. He's in Jacksonville. I'm sure there'll be all this smoke and noise late November about him coming to Florida State to give a visit. He still likes what he sees in Tallahassee. But we all would have known, yeah, man, he's going to Alabama. Now you don't know that. Now that's not a guarantee. Just like if this flip had happened with the defensive end from Cocoa Beach that just flipped on Tuesday, big get, man, 4 or 5 star kid, one of the best defensive ends in the country. If he had done this flip in 2021, I'd be like, okay, sure. I give it about a 10% chance of it actually going through. If Alabama wants a kid, typically Alabama gets a kid. Don't see that happening so much with Kalen DeBoer. I don't know that his name carries that weight. In fact, I do know it doesn't. That Nick Saban's did. So yeah, man, I think it does. All Florida State fans, it should make high school recruiting a lot more fun and fair. You got a real chance at some of these guys.
Javion Hilson, by the way, the name of the player that we're discussing from Coco, that's a 2025 4-star edge player that flipped from Bama. So
I think he's a 5-star in some services.
Okay.
But he's in the number 2 player at his position in some services. For on 3, he's a high 4-star. That's the number 3 defensive end in the country, and the number 33 player overall, which is very good. Solomon Thomas is the number 29 player overall.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I'm not going to tell anybody to ever get over the snub. I mean, you'll always remember that, but at a certain point, we have to kind of look forward to the upcoming season and what's here. I just feel like, if you can kind of try to move past that a little bit, and you just look around the country right now, Corey, again, who knows how Alabama is going to shake out. LSU under Brian Kelly hasn't exactly been a dominant powerhouse. I mean, they're still a respectable program. You're seeing Florida spinning their wheels. I don't know what was going on in Gainesville the last 72 hours, Corey. Did they think they were going to get Jed Fish or something? There's a lot of people upset that Jed Fish left Arizona to go to Washington. I don't know if Florida fans thought they were going to somehow make some weird, bizarre.
I think they thought when Napier inevitably gets fired next year, this is their thought process, I think, that Jed Fish would have been a guy they would have gone after because he's a UF alum.
Oh, there we go.
But now that he just started at Washington, that's going to make it a lot harder to go get him.
We'll see how that works out. But, I mean,
Muschamp's available.
Yeah, that is true. Florida State is just so well positioned with Mike Norvell right now. I think there's a certain time or a certain thing that we might want to see, like winning a national championship, but it's not fair to say that because he didn't get the opportunity, even though he probably deserved it. But man, other than Georgia, who else is better positioned right now than Florida State? I mean, maybe Texas is in that conversation. Michigan doesn't have Harbaugh. Maybe they have Harbaugh. Who knows how Ohio State's going to look with, bringing a new quarterback and trying to go super heavy into their running game. It seems like they're trying to rip off the Michigan kind of blueprint. This is a really exciting time right now for Florida State, and this staff is just so well positioned to take advantage of it. It's really exciting to think about what can happen here when the next transfer portal window opens, and just to kind of see the names that are floating out there when it comes to high school recruiting. Because to your point earlier, Corey, right? Even if these 2025 kids commit now in January, February, when their sign day is in December, you feel pretty good they're going to stick with it, right? I mean, the conditions are ripe here in Tallahassee to stick by your word.
Yeah, when you look at the on-3 rankings right now, I think Florida State has 2 of the top 100. But I'm talking about the 2025 rankings. 2 of the top 100. But they're in the mix for 8 other guys. It's starting to feel kind of like old school Florida State. I know they didn't finish the way anybody wanted them to finish this past recruiting cycle, losing Bolden, and then the kid that went to the defensive end that went to Miami hurt. I get it, but just look at the guys they're in on now. Not just the commits they're getting, the guys they're in real battles with. And that you're right, Aslan. It's a really good point to bring up because. Yes, Georgia is far and away the best program in the country right now. But because they don't have any instability. You could say, well, what about Michigan? They just won the national championship. I get it, man. Georgia's lost once in 3 years, and it was a 3-point game to Alabama, a one-possession game. And their head coach isn't being rumored, didn't just interview with the Chargers. So Michigan might be losing their head coach. And then you look at all the other big boys in this sport. Ohio State, yes. Apparently all their guys are coming back. Other than Marvin Harrison, they've had a lot of draftable dudes decide to stick around for one more year. That Michigan national title really riled up that fan base and that collective, and a lot of their big-time players are sticking around. So Ohio State's in a good spot. Ryan Day has an incredible record. Ohio State, Georgia, and then I'm certainly not sitting here and saying Florida State is the third best program in the country, totally, just because of what happened this past year. But Aslan makes a good point, man. You look at all the other teams that are traditionally in that conversation. LSU, that defense was a joke. That defense was an absolute joke, and they won 9 games almost solely because they had a brilliant quarterback. Well, he ain't there anymore. So what do they look like this year? Clemson doesn't know the portal exists. So how good are they going to be? Like all these other – Michigan has its issues because they might not have a head coach. Auburn is always Auburn. Florida has Napier.
Oklahoma lost their quarterback. Texas is in the mix with you right now, but yeah, Oklahoma,
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say right now when you talk about stability, head coaching acumen, recruiting base, the way they're recruiting, because that's one thing we didn't know about Norvell, but I feel like he's starting to prove it more and more. The recruiting on the high school level. He's got a great brand to sell now, largely because of him. But it is a brand now that people around the country know about and care about because of what's happened these last two years at Florida State. I get it. I know who Bobby Bowden was. I'm just saying he's now recruiting guys that weren't interested in Florida State 5 years ago. You're right, man. I would say there's Georgia and Ohio State are in better position. And other than that,
maybe Texas. Maybe
Texas.
Yeah.
But other than that, and I think that's debatable. And I think everybody else you would throw into that conversation is absolutely debatable. Oregon, very good coach, good program. Are they ever going to have
zones away?
But are they ever going to? Yeah, for recruiting purposes, right? But also just in the overall power structure of the football, are they ever going to be a national championship caliber program? Is there enough line of scrimmage talent on the West Coast that Oregon could win a national championship anytime soon? I don't know that. Florida State, there's a lot of really good linemen in the South. I think when you talk about location, coach, recent history, the stability of the program, they're
feels good,
use
man.
This well. Utilize this window well because you don't know how long this window is going to be wide open like this. Use it because you're right. They're a top 5 program right now in the way they're recruiting, the way they're portaling. They should be a top 5 program for the foreseeable future.
VitaminEnergy.com's offering up the promo code WarChantBOGO. That's WarChant BOGO. You buy one, you get one free. Vitamin Energy, the world's first and only clinically tested, clinically proven energy shot that's out there on the market. 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine. That's what it does, everybody. Simple as that. Just a lot of good old-fashioned natural caffeine packed in here. No GMO stuff, no sugar, none of the bad stuff, all of the good stuff, including things like the Mood Plus, which has several extracts in here, including lemon balm, passion flower, as well as valerian root. Can't go wrong with all that. How won't your mood be boosted with all that circulating in your bloodstream, y'all? VitaminEnergy.com, led by some Florida State alums. They're hooking you up with that promo code WarChantBOGO, B-O-G-O. So give it a shot. They've got variety packs that includes the Mood Plus, the Focus Plus, the Immune Plus. It's incredible. You can try them all in one convenient box. And you're going to get one for free when you use the promo code Corey.
Warchant BOGO.
That's right. Not as much energy in Corey in that one, but it's okay.
Sorry, I was looking up something.
Good.
Warchant BOGO.
There we go. Second segment. It's going to be fire when we're coming back after this one. Check it out. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code Warchant BOGO. Shake it and take it. VitaminEnergy.com. So, speaking of Alabama, Corey, Sean Murphy was the linebacker that Florida State was able to get out of the portal from Virginia. 6'2", 225 is what he was listed out as. Played in 3 games this past season, only 18 snaps. But I guess you're just thinking with the excitement that Norvell has for him coming to the program with his tweets, although I guess everybody gets the tweets. But, hey, they've been recruiting good players, so those tweets do feel authentic in their excitement. I don't know how we kind of project the Lundy loss, the Lundy regain, or what have you. But again, when you got a guy from that program that probably was waiting his turn. I mean, listen, they've had talented linebackers there playing ahead of him. He probably was going to be able to kind of compete for some more significant playing time. It just kind of seems to fit the mold of what Florida State's been going after, a guy that comes from a strong program, has a lot of years left, or not a lot of years left, but he's not just a one-year rental. Seems like a good fit for what Florida State obviously needs, especially at the linebacker spot.
Yeah, there's a column I wrote that's on the website as people are listening to this, kind of about this very thing, like that. Not just that they now have 5 guys from Alabama, which is crazy. It feels like kind of a needle to the eye a little bit. Like, oh, y'all stole our little playoff spot. Okay, well, good luck fielding a team. We're going to take all your players. All your depth pieces that you were counting on. But, I think last year it seemed to me, Aslan, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I am, they got a lot more known commodities in the portal. They got Braden Fisk. Now, we didn't know Braden Fisk was going to be that dude, but we knew he was going to be a starter caliber player because he had been really good at Western Michigan. He was an older guy. He was coming in. He was going to be somebody that contributed and was a good college football player. That had been proven. Even at that level, you could project, okay, that plays in the ACC clearly. Obviously,
Ventrell
Keon
Cypress.
Coleman, Ventrell Cypress. Yeah. Jeremiah Byers was a proven college football player. Casey Roddick was a proven college football player. Jaheim Bell. All these guys were proven. It feels like this particular portal class is a lot more kind of unproven but high upside guys. Like, I feel like, I don't know if it's a shift in philosophy or you just go after the best player available, but the Sean Murphy kid has played 34 snaps in his career. Aslan mentioned he played 18 snaps this past year. He played 16 snaps the year before. So he's completely unproven. Blake Nicholson has played more college football than Sean Murphy has. But Sean Murphy was a high 4-star kid coming out of high school. He has the measurables, and he's been at Alabama for 2 years playing behind some very good players. He might be ready to take off.
And getting some really good coaching.
Just like Earl Little might really be ready to take off. And the kid from West Virginia, who I'm not going to try to pronounce his name right now, these are guys that are highly unproven, mostly unproven, I should say, and in the linebacker's case, completely unproven. But the upside, the potential, is what's, to me, so exciting. Like, we knew what Cypress was. Pretty good corner. We have no idea what Malik Benson is. Or Jaylen Brown, the 2 wide receivers, one from Alabama, one from LSU. Malik Benson played the whole year, but he had 13 catches, playing with a bad quarterback, or just not a very accurate thrower of the football.
Not a great passing offense.
There you go, right. So we have no idea what he can be, really, just like we have no idea what Jaylen Brown can be. We had all the idea of what Keon Coleman could be. So weirdly, as much like Braden Fisk and Keon Coleman were stars. And all the other guys were good portal entries too, or most of them were. But I'm almost more excited about this one because of the unknown. Because I do think maybe the ceiling on this portal class is higher. Like, what if Earl Little ends up being a first-round pick? Or Marvin Jones ends up being an incredible defensive end? Like, there's just so much. It seems like it's so untapped. Casey Roddick had been tapped for 4 years. Jeremiah Byers had started 38 games. Braden Fisk had played college football for 4 years. Cypress had started for 2. We all knew what they were. These guys, they're like wild cards, a lot of them. Now, the kid coming from Florida, the offensive lineman, isn't. The defensive lineman from Colorado State, we know what he is. The running back from Alabama, he's a senior. We know what he is. But so many of these other guys really do feel like wild card, and I equated it to like a home run swing. Like, the kid from Colorado State, let's say that's like a double. That's like when you're talking about taking a swing in a baseball game, you're making a contact swing there. You're just trying to put the ball in play. Give us somebody that can contribute, a solid contributor, a rotation piece. Marvin Jones is a swing for the fences. Earl Little is a swing for the fences. They might be home run transfers, not just a single or a bloop double. These might be grand slam home run portal guys like Keon, like Verse, like Fisk were. That's what makes it so exciting to me, is there's so much unknown about who they are. Yeah.
Question on that, though, is you call them wild cards, like in an endearing way here. We're not saying like they're, the wild, your buddy after 5 beers,
right?
The strip back in '98. Everybody
like Jeff Cameron is an absolute wild card.
But what part of the break down the pie chart for me that makes you say that as a good and exciting thing? Is it because they've come from good programs? Is it because of the measurables? Is it because of the track record, whether it's evaluation or development of this coaching staff?
Well, so with the West Virginia kid, it is the production he had in limited opportunities. Like, that excites me. Like, him playing a full year equates to, and he played in a real conference. If he was getting full starter reps, he would have had 8 or 9 or 10 sacks. Like, that excites me, and he's young. He's a redshirt freshman. Marvin Jones and the 5 Alabama kids, yeah, it's probably because of the program they're coming from. Oh. Like, Nick Saban doesn't make a ton of mistakes when it comes to identifying guys he wants on his roster, and he wanted all 5 of those guys. And I think some of them, I think not all of them, they're not all going to be home runs. That's the thing. That was the other point of that analogy. You're going to strike out on a few of these.
Right.
You're taking huge swings, and you miss at some of those. But, man, when you connect, they go 500 feet. And I think that I think it's because of the programs they're coming from. Same thing with the kid from LSU. that's what excites you. They were top 100 kids very recently. They were big-time talents. They were recruited by everybody. Those guys typically, the high 4-star guys, the top 100 guys, they're typically not busts. They might not end up being stars, but their floors are usually are a lot higher than the typical 3-star guys that, quite frankly, were on this roster. A lot of those guys are on that roster. I think, I just think that this kid coming from Alabama, and I hope Omar Graham proves me 1,000% wrong, and they're both awesome players. I trust this kid who spent 2 years at Alabama end up being a better player in 2024 than Omar Graham at linebacker. I could be wrong. In fact, I hope I'm wrong. Omar Graham's a Nole through and through. But you see, that's kind of the point I'm making. And I expect Earl Little to be better than – is Greedy Vance still even on the team? I forget if he has eligibility left. He played in the Orange Bowl.
I think he is.
I feel like Earl Little's upside is more than Greedy Vance's. And Greedy Vance has had a nice career here. I think it's just the fact of where they were when they were coming out of high school, who all was recruiting them. It wasn't like Alabama beat out Georgia Southern and Maine for their services. Everybody in the country wanted these guys for a reason, and sometimes it takes guys, as we all know, you're Florida State fans, you've seen guys that were big-time dudes that didn't really hit their stride until they were juniors. DeMarcus Walker is a great example. That does happen a lot. And you're getting guys that were at Alabama and at Georgia and in really good programs. And I think, it just raises the floor. The floor has already been raised, and the unknown is what makes it where you don't know where the ceiling is. The ceiling could be lower than we think, but it also could be higher than we can imagine because you don't know how good these guys are going to be. Yeah.
Greedy Vance, redshirt junior this past year. So, yeah, he's got one more year.
Okay, good, like Greedy.
Use it there. And, by the way, our guy from West Virginia is Tomiwa Durojaye. So we got to see if we can get some sort of NIL opportunity with him and Lawrence and a podiatrist. I'm thinking.
There you go. Nice. Okay.
So that's what we do here, Wake Up Warchant. Just try to bring people together. Noles helping Noles. What was that thing about Caleb Downs before I forget to ask you about it, Corey? Something cool?
All right. So there's a lot of rumor. There's a lot of speculation in Georgia circles and on Twitter. Caleb Downs' secondary coach just left for Alabama. You mentioned him.
Travaris Robinson, yes.
Yeah, he was the co-DC. He's the DB's coach. He took over Muschamp's role because Muschamp left the program to be closer to spend time with his family or something.
Well, no, he's still part of the program. He's like an off the field. He's just taking.
Yeah, but he left the coaching role.
Okay.
And so they replaced him with Travaris Robinson, who's been at Alabama, who recruited Caleb Downs and who coached Caleb Downs. Now, Caleb Downs, as Aslan mentioned, is from Mill Creek High School in essentially Buford, Georgia, Decula, Georgia. Maybe the address is Houston, who knows? But it's 35 minutes from Athens. So there's a lot of Georgia fans that are thinking, well, Caleb Downs, he just lost his head coach, and he lost his secondary coach. He might want to go to the school that's 30 minutes from his home. That's also, if you haven't checked lately, Caleb, pretty good at football too. And if he does that, which is a possibility. I'm not saying it's a probability, but it certainly seems like a possibility. Well, is KJ Bolden cool with that? They play the same position, and Caleb Downs is only a sophomore. So that kind of guarantees that KJ Bolden Caleb Downs is only a sophomore going into this season. Kind of guarantees KJ Bolden won't get on the field a ton until he's a junior. And last time I checked, Florida State could still use a 5-star safety on their roster. Just, hey, dominoes, baby.
Okay.
Let's see. The dominoes falling, I'm just saying, could be something to look out for. That's all.
I've never heard of that town you said 2 minutes ago. Houston? Is that how you pronounce it?
Houston. It's pronounced Houston, but it's Hoschton.
Yeah. That is the physical address for Mill Creek High School, 4400 Brazelton Highway.
Yep.
Wow, 3,800 kids at that school?
3,800, and Buddy, when Brady was a freshman, it was like 4,900. They got some relief because they opened up another high school finally. It was the third biggest high school in the country.
Wow. People around the world, they're
more
moving
people
to
than Wake Forest. It literally did. It had a higher enrollment than Wake Forest.
Yeah. All right, I'm behind that. I don't know how much that would deter.
Hey, that is
but
pure
it's a possibility, though. Yeah, I know. We're
pure
not
speculation.
Right,
I don't know either one of those dudes.
Right.
Brady is not boys with Caleb Downs, so I don't have any inside knowledge. It would make sense if Caleb Downs was like, you know what, I think I might go play for my home state team. especially since I don't have any connections here to this current staff. But I also think Alabama might cough up some money to make sure Caleb Downs stays. That's a possibility too. So we'll see.
Yeah, they've got it, right? They've definitely have to. And I think Kirby would do whatever he would have to do to keep both those guys around and happy. Although I don't know, maybe he's like, hey, whatever, leave, go ahead. I'm fine. I've got Caleb Downs now. Good luck to you, young gentlemen.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes there. We'll also see how things go this weekend as the second round of the NFL playoffs continue on. MyBookie.ag's got you covered. Use the promo code WARCHANT for an instant cash deposit bonus. I'm glad I didn't give out winners because all mine were losers this past week. So maybe we'll lean on Corey a little bit. Although I want to take the Niners. I'll give out 9.5. Just feels like, I don't know, the Packers being the Cowboys probably got everybody a little too excited. And I kind of like the Lions. I'll give out 6.5 to the hometown Bucks. Can't root against the Lions, really, can you? Ravens giving out 9 to the Texans. I kind of like that one, too. The only one that's really scary is the Bills and the Chiefs, Corey, so I'll lean on you here. Chiefs on the road for the first time in 17 years, it seems, in the playoffs. They're getting 2.5 against Josh Allen and the Bills. 46 points the total. Thoughts?
You know, I think they said it's the first road playoff game of Mahomes' career.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy on a number of levels. Clearly, he's been pretty good in the regular season that they never have to go on the road. I don't think he's going to shrink in the moment, though. You know what I mean? The Chiefs have been weird all season. The offense has not been very good. But I think Josh Allen is a very good player. But when it comes to Mahomes versus Allen in a spot like that, it's hard to bet against Mahomes. So I'll take the points.
There you go, everybody. MyBookie.ag. Again, promo code is WARCHANT. Promo requires $50 minimum deposit and rollover requirement of one time. The deposit total, including your bonus for withdrawal. For full terms and conditions, visit mybookie.ag/about-us. I hate to go out on a somber note here as we wrap up the program, but this came across as we were recording and certainly worth talking about because of the impact this man has had on so many people for such a long time. In such a profound way, but the shout out to the Animals of Section B on their Twitter account, tweeted out on Tuesday afternoon to all of our FSU baseball family. Just spoke with Carol Martin and wanted to share that 11 is now on hospice care. This is merely a request for prayers and love for the Martin family. We love you, 11. Go Noles. Obviously, 11, Mike Martin Sr., longtime head coach of the Florida State baseball team. Carol Martin, his lovely wife. Just such a difficult thing for that family to have to go through right now. I'm not good at talking about these kind of things, Corey, but I don't know if just you hear people talk about, certain coaches talk about players and, he's such a great player, but he's an even better person. And, sometimes you're just like, really? But it just feels like when you think about Mike Martin in the short amount of time and on the very surface level that I've known him, but just talking to people that have obviously been around him for so long, he seems to kind of fit that bill of just like, great guy, great coach, but even better person.
Yeah, my relationship with him was a unique one. First off, before I even say anything about this, and man, I can't stress how valuable and appreciated and loved hospice workers are. I mean, you talk about doing like the Lord's work, just sacrificing your lives for the help and the comfort of other people. Luckily, well, I shouldn't say luckily, my dad just passed away of a heart attack. He wasn't in hospice, but I haven't had a close family member go through hospice care. But I know so many people that have, and those people are absolute angels on earth. They are saints.
Amen.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to those people because that is a thankless job, and it is a wonderful job, and it's got to be heart-wrenching. But those aren't normal people that do that job. That is a special type of person that works in hospice care. So shout out to them first and foremost. Well, maybe not foremost, but first. And then my relationship with 11 was unique because, I grew up a Florida State fan, clearly. But, obviously I was living in Atlanta. I was dialed into the baseball team a little bit. But I was obviously much more of a football fan. And I liked Mike Martin as a coach. But, I was also one of those people that's like, he's never going to win the big one. Why can't he win out in Omaha? And then I moved to Tallahassee and started covering the program, essentially Busters last year, so 2008. And we became, like, legitimate friends like friends. Like he introduced me one time to a group of people that I'll never forget. He just introduced me as this. He didn't say, "Hey, this is Corey from." I don't know if I was working for the Democrat or Warchant at the time. He didn't say, "Hey, this is Corey from Warchant." He said, "This is my friend Corey." And that, I don't know why that touched me the way it did, but it just did, because he was larger than life for me growing up, and then he was somebody I covered. But I think he appreciated my sarcasm and my sense of, in fact, I know he did, and my sense of humor. And he was just a good dude. He was a good person. He loved to talk about any. I want this to be known about him. He was not just a baseball fan or a Florida State baseball. He was not just enveloped in that world. He would talk to us as much about the basketball team and what he was seeing there. He'd be complaining because the game started at 9 o'clock. He's like, yeah, to get to bed at 11:30, but he would watch all the basketball games. I saw him multiple times watching the golf team play tournaments. He was a Florida State man through and through, and a huge Seminole and a huge lover of the university. He really was. You could tell every time he talked about the university how much he appreciated it. And, I also know I talked to him off the record a lot of times, and that was not just for the cameras. He really did he loved the university, and very sad. It was obviously sad when Bobby Bowden died, but I covered Bobby Bowden for a few years, but I didn't know him. I knew Mike Martin. I know Mike Martin. Sorry, I should put it that way. And it's a sad one, man. That hits me kind of hard because he had such a big personality. That laugh, that smile, he was always gracious in defeat. Just a really, really good person and such a great ambassador for the university. It's hard. My words can't do that guy justice. No. But I'm trying my best, folks. But it's very, very sad. But what a life, man! What a life that guy got to live his dream for almost 4 decades, and won all those games. Aslan.
Over 2,000 games.
Like 2,100. I mean, it's nuts how many games he won. It's insanity. So, yeah, man, that's just a real, as Aslan said it right, a great coach, obviously, but so warm and caring and nice to, at least when I saw him. I know some players that he played for him would say differently because he was a red ass at times, especially in the 80s and 90s, man. He wanted to win. That was the other thing. He was very, very, very competitive. But he also, off the field, would stop for anyone and say hello, would always offer a smile, would always shake hands. He's just a really good man.
Yeah. Hey, man, thanks for sharing that, Corey, because surely my words would not have been able to do justice for 11. So, yeah, if you're the praying kind, the Martin family could certainly use that in this time. So, shout out. All right, that is then a wrap for us here today. As we said, we'll be doing these about 3 days a week now with things kind of tapering off, but maybe we'll jump back into it after a big win over the Canes, hopefully in basketball later tonight, Corey, right? Fingers crossed. Or is that a late one? I don't want to commit us to
I think it's a 7 o'clock.
Okay, all right.
So not too late. Yeah, hey, make it 5 in a row, boys. Go make it 5 in a row.
Let's go. And then we'll have a thread posted over on the Tribal Council here in the next day or so for Renegade Express mailbag, and we'll do that on Thursday for your Friday program. And possibly a live recruiting show on Thursday. We'll have maybe some details about that trickle out over social media or over on the website, which you all should be subscribed to, warchant.com. All right, that's a wrap for us. I don't know if Jeff and Tom will be back. Jeff battling a bug. But if they are, 1 to 3 o'clock, the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 FM in Tallahassee, as well as Warchant TV.
Yeah, there was no headlines. There was no Seminole headlines on Tuesday because Jeff has some sort of bug. We'll see if we do one later this week, or we might just push it back till next week. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Nice. Look at that. Maybe, yeah, so what, that or coach speak, you got to give the people something, right?
That's what I was saying. All right,
we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, though, everything you want over at warchant.com, including all the recruiting coverage from Michael Langston and Matt Lasser. So check it all out. Hit the thumbs up, 5-star rating review. Certainly would appreciate it. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.